My name is Megan Badila. I'm 31 years old, and I fight fires for a living. Actual flames, the kind that roar and breathe and obey physics. I wish I could say the same about my family. Most nights I sleep in the small one-bedroom above the firehouse gym. It's cheap, noisy, and always smells faintly like detergent and old coffee, but I like it. The sirens outside my window are predictable, honest. They scream only when something is wrong. My family screams all the time, even when no one is hurt. I'm the middle child, the reliable one. Mom's favorite description of me, said like a compliment and a burden in the same breath. Dad calls me stubborn. My younger sister, Jess, calls me for everything. When her pipes burst, when her car won't start, when her boyfriend doesn't understand her. And my older sister, Erin, she barely calls at all. She texts screenshots of bills the way normal people send memes. That night, or technically morning, my phone vibrated across the nightstand at 3:04 a.m. It skittered, hit the floor, and kept buzzing like it was having a panic attack of its own. I answered on the second ring. Years in a firehouse train you well. Bad news doesn't wait for voicemail. Megan, oh God. Megan, your sister is in the hospital. Send $22,000 immediately, or they'll leave her without care, and we'll be stuck with all the bills. Mom's voice was shredded, frantic, weaponized. I sat upright, heart sprinting, bare feet finding cold linoleum. What happened? I asked. Don't argue, she snapped. Just send it. I know you have savings. You're the only one who... In the background, I heard the growl I knew too well. Dad's voice, weary, mean. If she cared, she'd already be wiring it. Don't waste time explaining anything to her. The room sharpened to a single painful point. The digital clock glowed red like an accusation. The old family script was unfolding word for word. I swallowed. Call your perfect daughter, I said. Call Erin. Then I hung up. I placed the phone face down like it was radioactive and lay back as if I hadn't just thrown gasoline on a family in full meltdown. My chest thumped like a drum. I stared at the thin crack in the ceiling, one I never bothered to fix because it reminded me of fault lines, of the way voices slip through the smallest fractures. Mom's panic, Dad's contempt, Jess's soft, apologetic laugh, Erin's silence. I replayed Mom's words. We need the money. She didn't say what hospital. She didn't say why Jess was there. She didn't ask if I was safe. She didn't even say please. My phone vibrated again and again, 3 times. I didn't look. I shoved it under my pillow like a siren I could smother. I slept the way firefighters sleep between calls, half dreaming, half listening, body ready, mind refusing. At 7:11 a.m., a different number flashed on my screen. This is Sergeant Kovalchuk from the 12th Precinct. Is this Megan Badilla? Yes. We need you to come down to the station regarding your sister and your parents. The silence after that sentence felt like a pit opening beneath me. I'll be there in 10, I said, already pulling on my boots. I grew up in a house where Megan will figure it out was spoken like a prayer, or a command. Erin was the golden child until she wasn't. The scholarship hope, the athlete Dad bragged about to bartenders. When her life detoured, knee injury, grades slipping, ambitions evaporating, she learned new tricks, turning her problems into other people's tabs, into mine most of all. Jess learned to be soft, gentle, agreeable. I learned to carry everyone's weight. By 19, I was volunteering at the fire station. By 23, I was full-time, eating smoke and paperwork in equal amounts. Fire made sense to me. Flames had moods, patterns, rules. My family had none. In their stories, Erin tried her best. Jess was fragile, and I was so good with money because I didn't waste it. Translation, Megan will pay for it. And I did. Dad's alternator, Mom's dental crown, Erin's disastrous investment in someone's gym, Jess's rent escape from a crypto bro boyfriend. Every time I said yes, Mom whispered, "We won't forget this." They always forgot. At dinner a month ago, Dad peered over his glasses and said, "You're 31 with nothing to show for it but muscles and a savings account. When are you going to make us proud? Buy a house. Start thinking long term, like Erin did." Like Erin, I repeated, not challenging, just mapping the smoke. Dad's jaw twitched. Erin strolled in late, kissed Mom's cheek, collected leftovers, and left without meeting my eyes. Jess's then boyfriend leaned toward me and whispered, "Your folks are intense." "Only when they're awake," I said. Jess snorted wine through her nose, then apologized, as if joy were taxed in our house. Life went on, until the night Jess appeared at my door with a trash bag of clothes and a split lip. We sat on the floor, with frozen peas pressed to her face. At least it's organic, she joked weakly. I offered the couch, the locks, the spare room. She declined, said she needed to handle it herself, then quietly asked if I could help with the deposit on a new place. I said yes, I always did. She slept that night like she had years ago, curled up, trusting me to lie about monsters. I set up my old iPhone for her, new passcode, clean slate. And then the warnings began. A $200 cash withdrawal I didn't make. A gas station charge across town. My wallet slightly disturbed. The emergency credit card in a wrong slot. My skin buzzed with the kind of dread that feels like déjà vu. I watched, documented, tracked. That's not how family is supposed to work. It's how you behave when you smell smoke but can't find the flames. 3 nights later, I came home from a 16-hour shift, smelling like ash and exhaustion. Jess was on my couch, mascara streaks down her cheeks, Mom on speakerphone. Your sister needs to be a team player. Erin found a truck and can start deliveries. She just needs a cosigner. Just your name, Megan. No money. We're family. Jess stared at the table. I stared at the ceiling. No, I said. The word felt clean, sterile, like the first breath after a mask-off break. Mom inhaled like I'd slapped her. You always think you're better than us because you run into fires. I think I'm tired, I said. She hung up. Erin texted 2 minutes later. Chill, Meg. It's just paperwork. I didn't reply. That week, Jess moved out. She hugged me tight, apologized for taking my charger, promised to return it. After she left, I checked the drawer. All my cards were in place. For the first time in a year, I exhaled fully. Then came the 3 a.m. call. Then came the police. And now, as I walked into the precinct, I knew something was burning. And for once, it wasn't a fire I could put out with water. Walking into the precinct, I felt an odd mix of dread and relief. Fire stations smell like smoke and metal. Police stations smell like old paper and older mistakes. The walls were beige, the lights too bright, and everything echoed, like the building itself was waiting for a confession. Sergeant Kovalchuk met me in the hallway, face unreadable. You're Megan Badilla, he said. Yes. Come with me. It's about your sister and your parents. His pause before parents told me everything I wasn't ready to hear. He led me into a small interview room, the kind where people sit when their lives are about to split open. There was a notepad on the table, turned toward me like an accusation. At 2:17 a.m., your sister Jessica was brought to county hospital. Panic attack, dehydration, and traces of oxycodone in her system. My throat tightened. So she's alive? She's stable, he said gently. I closed my eyes. Relief hit me so hard my knees nearly buckled. And my parents? I asked, hardly breathing. He sighed, rubbing his temples. Your mother called the hospital demanding a financial hold be lifted from Jessica's chart. She told them to contact you for $22,000. There's no such thing as a financial hold, is there? I whispered. No, he said, there isn't. My stomach dropped. He slid the notepad closer. That's not all. We have reports of attempted withdrawals from 3 accounts linked to your name. A cold wave swept across my spine. Linked how? He flipped a page. The first number was my spare card, the one I kept buried in a kitchen drawer. The second was from a prepaid phone. The third was from Erin's old bank account. Small test charges, gas stations, corner stores. Then a declined $2,000 cash advance around the time of the hospital incident. Finally, $200 from your card ending in 48, approved. The world slowed. He pulled out an evidence bag. Inside was a folded sticky note, yellowed, creased. I recognized my handwriting immediately. Wi-Fi password plus PIN. I'd written it for Jess when she borrowed my old iPhone. But on the back, additional numbers, scrawled in someone else's hand. The last 4 matched my spare card. They had turned my note into a code, a key. I felt nauseous. We checked the ATM footage, the sergeant continued. My pulse hammered. It's your father, he said softly, using your card. For a moment, there was no air in the room, only the crashing realization that the fire I'd been smelling for years had finally revealed its flames. I swallowed hard. Jess, did she know about this? She claims she didn't. She asked the ER to call you, but your mother took the phone from her. Jess, sweet, fragile Jess, always caught between fear and the family she was taught to protect. Megan, the sergeant said quietly, this is the point where I ask if you want to file charges. My ears rang. If I didn't, they'd try again. They'd drain me until nothing was left. Fire had rules, predictable ones. My parents didn't. I'll file, I said, against both of them. He nodded, sliding the form toward me. My hand shook when I wrote the first letter of my name. But by the second line, my handwriting steadied, like it remembered how to stand on its own. The door burst open. Mom stormed in, hair perfect, outrage blazing. She looked like someone who'd rehearsed her innocence in the car mirror. "Megan, what is this? You think we'd steal from you? You must have misunderstood." "I didn't," I said. My voice was flat steel. She turned to the sergeant with a brittle smile. "Officer, this is a family matter." "You tried to take my money," I said. She laughed, sharp and disbelieving. "Money? Your sister was sick." "What's wrong with asking before assuming I'd say yes?" I replied. Dad stepped forward, jaw tight. "Real brave, hiding behind police paperwork." "You can stop calling me daughter," I said. "I'm Megan." I slid the signed form toward the sergeant. Mom's face cracked into horror, Dad's into fury. But neither feeling moved me. This wasn't betrayal, it was confirmation. The sun outside was offensively bright. The station's sirens blipped in the distance. I walked back to my truck, feeling hollow and weightless, like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left a single note. No more. Back at the firehouse, no one asked questions. They handed me coffee, clapped my shoulder, left space. The kind of quiet support my family never understood. My phone buzzed. "Jess, I'm so sorry. I didn't know about the cards. Please don't hate me. They want me to go to a program." I typed back, "You should. I'll help with the program, not with lies." Then I changed every password, froze every card, set alerts for everything. I wrote a list titled, "What's Mine?" My name, my paycheck, my rest, my future. Family tried calling, guilt-tripping, crying, threatening. I ignored every message. Aaron showed up at my building, begging, spinning stories, insisting Mom didn't mean it. I told her, "You're the one who sets fires and calls it weather." She left crying. I didn't break. Jess checked into her 30-day program 2 days later. I dropped off an old sweatshirt. No audience, no pressure. For the first time in years, I slept through the night. And when I woke, something inside me felt lighter, sharper, like the first clean breath after escaping smoke, or stepping outside to discover the world didn't burn down when you stopped holding the hose. The morning after Jess entered her program, the firehouse kitchen smelled like burnt toast and cheap coffee, comforting, familiar, predictable. I poured myself a mug and stood by the window overlooking the street below. The world looked strangely new, or maybe I was finally seeing it without the haze of obligation. Liam stopped by the station around noon. He didn't knock on my emotional walls or demand explanations. He simply handed me a sandwich and nodded toward the turnout gear hanging by the lockers. "You look like someone who finally took off a 100-pound pack," he said lightly. "Feels like it," I murmured. He didn't push. That was one of the reasons I'd let him into my orbit at all. He knew how to stand beside me without crowding the air. When he wrapped an arm around my shoulders, it was grounding, not possessive. "Let me know if you need anything," he said. For the first time in a long while, I believed I might actually ask. The following days were a quiet kind of healing. No midnight emergencies disguised as family needs. No guilt-laced calls from Mom. No manipulative texts from Aaron. I didn't unblock their numbers. I didn't check the voicemails they left. Boundaries weren't walls. They were doors. And I finally held the key. At night, I ran laps behind the firehouse, not to outrun anything, but to feel my lungs expand without pressure. One evening after shift, I opened a dusty box labeled "Someday," a box I hadn't touched in years. Inside were brochures for paramedic certification, rope rescue training, and a printout of a lakeside cabin I'd circled when I was 25. Someday, someday, someday. Someday had always been waiting for permission. Now it felt like it was waiting for me. Thursday, I booked the rescue course. Friday, I placed a deposit on the cabin. Just a small one, but enough to feel real. That night, my phone buzzed. A voicemail from Mom. I didn't want to listen. I shouldn't have listened. But I did. Her voice was sharp and cold, nothing like the panic from the hospital night. "If you go through with this selfish nonsense," she spat, "you are dead to us, Megan." I deleted it halfway through. Then I toggled my phone settings so only Liam, my captain, and Jess's counselor could reach me. The rest of the world went silent, and I slept deeply. A week later, the bank called. "Ms. Badilla, we're following up on an application submitted in your name, co-signing on a truck for an Aaron Hale." My stomach tightened. "I didn't sign anything," I said firmly. They withdrew the application immediately after I forwarded the police report. When I hung up, I burst into a laugh I didn't recognize. Not bitter, not derisive. Free. Freedom has a sound. It's quiet. It's soft. It feels like breath expanding in your ribs where fear used to live. Before long, the court date arrived. My parents didn't look at me when I walked into the room. Mom's hair was lacquered into perfection. Dad's jaw was locked tight. The judge reviewed the evidence, the ATM footage, the statement from Jess, the attempted withdrawals, the forged numbers on the sticky note. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't explosive, it was clinical, administrative. A lesser charge, restitution, and a 90-day no-contact order. My parents didn't shout, they didn't apologize. They simply stared at me like I was a stranger who had ruined their lives. Maybe I was finally letting myself be one. As I stepped into the hallway, I heard Dad mutter, "Kid thinks she's a saint." I turned back to the officer escorting me and asked quietly, "Can I say one thing?" He nodded. I looked straight at them, not as their daughter, but as a person reclaiming her heir. I love Jess. I will help her get healthy. But I am done funding lies, emergencies, and threats. I'm done being the fire extinguisher for the disasters you create. Neither of them replied. Their silence was a relief. I walked outside into a soft drizzle, the kind of rain that feels like a reset button. The air smelled clean. Jess finished her program at the end of the month. We sat outside her facility with 2 paper cups of lukewarm coffee. She looked healthier, still fragile, but anchored, like a tree, relearning how to grow after being bent too long in one direction. "I'm building a life that doesn't need saving," she said softly. I smiled. "Good. But if you ever slip, call me. First. Always." She nodded, grateful without guilt. For once, we felt like sisters, not rescuer and rescued. The night I completed my rope rescue course, the guys at the firehouse surprised me with a grocery store cake that said, "Congrats, Badilla," in uneven frosting and a banner that fell halfway off the wall. It was perfect. Liam showed up with a thermos of hot cocoa and that half smile of his that meant he was proud. He didn't say it. He didn't need to. Later at the cabin, the one I just secured the down payment for, I stood on the porch overlooking the water. The lake was quiet, reflecting the moon in a perfect circle. For the first time in my life, the silence didn't feel like waiting. It felt like peace. I took a photo of the lake and texted Jess. "Me too. Me too, I'm building a life that doesn't need saving." At home, I taped a new list inside my pantry door. Things I don't know yet. How to live without carrying everyone else. How to sleep without waiting for the phone to ring. How to choose myself without guilt. Every day, I added a new line. Every day, the list grew shorter. Sometimes I still hear their voices. My parents' blame, Aaron's excuses. But then I remember the evidence. The ATM footage. The sticky note with my handwriting twisted into theft. The sergeant's steady nod. Closure isn't a slammed door. It's choosing your own air. I love my sister. I don't hate my parents. But I love my life more than being used. I'm Megan Badilla. I fight fires, just not my own anymore.